Greetings, YouTube. As I mentioned in the last video, I've been reading Lancer. And one of the things that rubbed me the wrong way when I'm reading it is their use of names for things that are out of our Western cultural references. Words that we recognize and we have used in the real world for weapon systems and tanks and boats and weapon systems. So I think I said that, sorry. And Fifth Avenue ad campaigns, Olympus and, Horus and Ra and Zeus and, all that kind of stuff. But Lancers takes place like 6,000 years in the future. Why the hell are they still using those words? How is it that anyone even remembers those words? When they say that we have gone through multiple cycles of rising and falling and rising and falling in those 6,000 years, where Earth was reduced to a population from 15 billion, where it's probably going to top out at 11, down to 500,000 people. And yet you're telling me somehow we preserved all that useful information so that in the future we're going to name giant friggin' robots Horus? For a truly immersive world, you would realistically name things that are contemporary to the lives of those that live them in that world, which means they would be names that have no bearing to us. They would be absolute unknowns. Realistically, the whole thing should be written in a language you don't speak, because nothing they're going to speak is going to be even close to English. But of course, you can't do that because the audience consuming this is, by and large, English speakers. But you could come up with terms that aren't based on here. There's no reason you can't come up with fantasy terms, or science fiction terms in this case, that are words that we have no reference to that still sound cool. Sure, you may not be able to get the cultural references immediately. Maybe you have a little bit of a blurb about each name and where it comes from. You create a little bit of myth in the background story of where this name came from within the context of the setting, whatever that setting happens to be. It doesn't have to be much, a little sidebar kind of thing, just like a FYI kind of stuff. And that would make it more immersive. But you can still just make up words that are cool. Because guess what? I know this is going to come as a shock to some people. Ben Shapiro, for one, all words are made up. All the ones I'm speaking right now are made up. I was not born knowing these words. I was taught them as I was growing up. All right? And I'm sure I mispronounced many of them as a child. I'm 60. I still do that. It just bothers me when far future things have titles and words and place names that are right out of our contemporary reference file. It cheapens it for me. It dilutes it. Yes, make up a name. Give me a little 2 or 3 paragraph sidebar talking about where that name came from, and that's immersive. That will put the person in that place. It will also become a sign that you are into that fandom simply because you know the terms. You know this. How many people listening to my voice right now know what the word thaco means? Anybody tell me without looking it up? That's a clue to other people that get that term. It's like I get people annoyed if you say Florentine when you're referring to people that are fighting with 2 weapons. And the snobs will tell you, well, Florentine is a type of, egg product or something. But people who understand two-stick, who use the word Florentine, and if you say Florentine and they understand you're talking about 2 sticks, congratulations, you have just conveyed information to someone. You have not done it in a way that some snob may like, but you've still conveyed information. Language is plastic, and I don't see any reason that our game world shouldn't reflect that. I'm not saying every single word needs to be made up, that the entire text has to need an entire class to read, but just those important things. place names, species names, mechs, ships, tanks, what have you, and a little blurb explaining why that thing was named for that reason. And that's immersive, and that's cool. And it isn't what I consider a cop-out. Because when you call something Horus 6,000 years in the future, I'm seeing that as a cop-out.